to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Agenda item 2, adoption of agenda. Is there a motion?
Move to adopt the agenda as presented.
Second.
Is there any discussion, or any changes, errors, or additions? If not, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Agenda is adopted. Approval of minutes, regular meeting, February 11th, 2025.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve the minutes. Are there any errors, omissions, or corrections to the minutes? If not, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Minutes are approved. Agenda item 4, public remarks. Please use the raise your hand feature or raise your hand and I will recognize you. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. Is there anyone who would wish to make public remarks at this time? Johnson?
Leonard Johnson, 21 Long Crossing Road. I agree we need a new firehouse to replace the firehouses on Barton Hill and in Cobalt. I believe that this is more important than a new senior center or community center. But this proposed firehouse is over the top. It is 4 times larger than the total gross square feet of the Barton Hill and Cobalt firehouses combined. I totally agree that fire vehicles need to be stored inside. The proposal seems to be designed for a town employee fire department rather than for a volunteer fire department. There is redundancy, such as a conference room with a table and seating for 8. Then a separate dining room with a table and seating for 8. Why both? Could not one room be used for both functions? The proposal seems to call for a large number of rooms in order to justify the large amount of space available. Once the cost estimates are available for the necessary equipment, plus all the furnishings, I believe most people will say it's too much. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would wish to make public remarks at this time? If not, I'm close public remarks. I just want to make 2 points, Mr. Johnson. The new proposed firehouse is not 4 times the current space. It's about 1 3/4 space. The current space between Cobalt and Barton Hill is about 14,800 square feet. Combination of gross footage. And we're looking at about 23,500 in the preliminary designs. And I just wanted to point out that what has been proposed as a draft was just a working draft. And one of the things we're intending on doing is sending this to the architect to work out exactly what the layout would be. We can discuss that further.
Thank you.
Agenda item 5, actions regarding town council vacancy. A, motion to accept the resignation of council member Deborah Cunningham.
So
I'll tell you what,
what? You want to go ahead.
yeah, give me a shot. Crying out loud, you jump on everything. Yes,
Councilman Noddick.
Thank you very much. You know, it's with certainly a heavy heart that we've received Deb's resignation. Certainly wish her best in next phase of life, but again, sadly, I'd like to move to accept the resignation of Deb Cunningham from the town council.
Would you like to second?
I'll second that.
Second. Is there any discussion? Just a personal note, I've been chairman now since the last election. Up until the election, I had never met Deb or worked with her, but I have found over the past year and almost year and a half her to be very diligent, very thoughtful, and really easy to work with. And I think we'll miss her in East Hampton. There's no further discussion. Those in favor of accepting the resignation of Deborah Cunningham, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Resignation accepted.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to appoint Ted Hintz Jr. to fill the town council vacancy.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded. Is there discussion? Might be the only chance you get. If not, those in favor of accepting Ted Hintz Jr. to fill the town council vacancy signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Welcome. Agenda item swearing in and seating the new council member. Madam Town Clerk, would you like to do that? The honors.
Would you like?
Up front so that everybody can see and the camera will grab something else. So the camera.
Yes, you can put your coffee down.
Off to a
How's
good
that?
start.
Do you solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Connecticut, and you will faithfully perform the duties of council member for the town of East Hampton to the best of your ability, according to the law, so help you God? Congratulations.
Thanks.
Been a long time.
Agenda item 6, presentations.
You have no presentations.
Thank you. And agenda item 7, bids and contracts.
Well,
Agenda item 8, resolutions, ordinances, policies, proclamations.
Also, none of those.
We're
we're
moving.
moving through.
Agenda item 9, continued business, subcommittee reports and updates.
None from this side.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment on America 250. We're there's a state organization and I attended a Zoom meeting. And they are encouraging towns to celebrate April 19th, which was Paul Revere's ride in the Lexington and Concord fight battle. And they suggested two things. They suggested put 2 lights in, well, for the state, but 2 lights to represent what happened in. And the second is to do a day of service on April 19th. So I'd just like to mention that, and the committee has thought about doing something on April 19th. We haven't closed on it yet. But we'll.
Do we have a horse rider?
So, but anyway, we're hoping to have fun, and we'll talk to various groups and see if April 19th we can do something appropriate for the town.
Thank you. Jordan?
I can give an update on the senior center task force.
Please.
We're gonna be holding our first meeting as a group in this building on Thursday evening at 6:30. Public is welcome to make comments during that meeting. All ideas will be appreciated.
Thank you. Any other report, subcommittee report? No. Moving on.
I think I'm good.
9B, consideration and possible approval of space planning for the proposed fire station at 11 Skinner Street.
Thank you. This is an item that's coming back to the council. As you recall, at the last meeting, you looked at this item and asked for a workshop meeting with the architect and the members from the fire department and the fire commission that were advisory to this particular space needs assessment. That meeting was held last week, and I think that a great deal of information was exchanged, and I think there's a better understanding by the council about what we're looking at. For the benefit of the public, I will outline just a little bit of the space needs assessment and how we got to where we're at least in terms of this document. It is intended to be a review of the possible needs for a fire department into the future. So as you can see, we looked at least 20 years into the future. The goal is to make sure that in the life of a bonding or other financing method that might be used, we have a space that is adequate for our needs. As alluded to earlier, it does contemplate a transitioning of the town from the current volunteer model to a paid staff model. It's not something that I think we all hope happens soon. I think it's something that we anticipate will take some time, but it does, in projecting into the future, anticipate some morphing of the fire service in East Hampton. It also contemplates potentially the combining of EMS services into the fire department, so ambulance services and fire department operating under at least the same management and potentially in the same space. So there are some anticipations made for addressing that into the future. The goal of the conversation, as I said, is to make sure that we have a sense of what a fire station would need to be based on today's standards to accommodate a potential future for East Hampton. It is an assessment of a space. It is not a management decision. It is not a foregone conclusion that this is the way it goes. It's important to note that any changes that the town goes through at the fire department level are done through the normal course of management and decision-making of the town with budgets and everything else. In the assessment, it identifies a space need of just over 23,000 square feet that would accommodate, as I said, the staffing and the command staff, the staff, the required spaces for cleaning of turnout gear and servicing of equipment, and really addressing the various requirements that the town of East Hampton will have to face, along with every other fire department in the country has to face into the future. Those are some of the more significant challenges that we can't meet in our current facilities. Dealing with those requirements to have, as we just talked about at the workshop, sort of a dirty side to the building and a clean side to the building, so that we can segregate away things that are carcinogenic from the living and the office activities and the day-to-day activities that go on for the firefighters that are there. Again, a concept for size. What will come from this next, if the town council approves of this and endorses moving ahead, what will come from this is the architect will, as alluded to earlier, design the space based on this 23,000 and change square foot number. The building itself is bigger than that. So there will be vacant spaces in the building. We've talked about that a little bit with the architect. And I think I would encourage the council to direct that the design of this remodeling portion be done leaving the back bay, the farthest to the, I guess it would be south, and an appropriate amount of the building unused for an alternative use in the future or a future use for the fire department or EMS. I think that's appropriate because we don't want to overbuild at this point. We want to make sure that we're accommodating what we think our needs are realistically in what I'll refer to as the near-term future. The other side of the equation is, so that we have something to compare to, the architect will price out not only that remodeling, but will price out a building built from scratch at that same square footage. So that we can compare. We'll know, what does it cost to remodel this building as opposed to what would it cost to build the same facility essentially from scratch. We'll take that to the town meeting and have that conversation with the community about the entire deal. So those are my comments regarding the space assessment at this point. I would encourage the council to go ahead and move forward with the correct addition. If somebody was looking at that, they'd note it should be 23,530 square feet. And as I mentioned, I think it's appropriate to leave that back bay and whatever other portion of the building in a usable chunk out of the design so that we don't over design or over space the location.
Thank you. Are there any questions? We have a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve the fire station space assessment report noting a correct estimated total size need of 23,530 square feet and to direct that the renovation concept plan for 11 Skinner Street not exceed that total by leaving the back bay in an appropriate section of the remainder of the building available for alternate or future use.
Thank you. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Motion seconded. Is there any further discussion? We have had the luxury of having a workshop with the fire department and fire commissioner board last week. As the town manager pointed out, we have had a number of our questions resolved and answered. And this step puts us one big step forward to see what an actual design of a firehouse would be. This is part of the requirements that we had in doing was it the MOU with Mr. Rand?
Yes, we have an agreement with Mr. Rand that would that gives us a certain time frame and basically hangs the details around a potential sale or exchange of buildings. And one of the steps that I actually requested the town take was this one, so that we could get a clear and professional estimated cost rather than one developed in-house based on very broad assumptions.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I would just like to note that when we did have the workshop with the fire department, we were very clear with them that the design look at necessary items and that we were not overbuilding to ensure that we're only putting those needed things in there. And we did have that discussion with them, discussed why those items were needed. And I think a very good point that the police chief brought up is that this would be the emergency operations center for all first responders. You know, for the public works department, the fire department, ambulance, police department, if there were a situation where there were a disaster, emergency, bad storms, things like that. So, you know, the facility needs to be adequate to make sure that we're meeting that need for the town.
Mr. Hens?
What is it gonna cost to actually do these two, as built and as redesigned?
We have an agreement with the firm that did the space needs assessment. The total value of that is 25,000. And it includes the space needs, it includes the design, and includes the estimating and getting us to that end point. It's referred to as the pre-referendum services that they do.
Are you all set to?
I'd like to just mention that some of the cost is due to extra safety issues that need to be addressed to meet the requirements of law, to keep the firemen safe and to keep others safe. So there's elements in the building in the proposed design that accomplish that.
Further questions or discussion? All set? Okay. Call for a vote. Those in favor of the resolution, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it.
Thank you. We'll move that ahead and get that that design work done and the estimating work done as quickly as we can.
Agenda item 10, new business. I don't think we have anything on.
We have no from me, no.
Agenda item 11, town manager report.
Thank you. I have just a few items that I'd like to reference from the town manager report, and one item that is not in the town manager report, but that I think it bears mentioning to the community. As always, my written report is in the packet. There were two parts to my report this time. One piece that was sent out midday or so Friday, and then a supplemental piece that was sent out, I think, later Friday, that included some information from Matt Walsh, our Public Works Director, regarding salt use, not only in the current year, as I was asked, I think, after the meeting last time, but also historic use for about 10 or 12 years, just to give a sense of how that works in the town and how it's been getting better. But I just wanted to mention just a couple of items that I think are interesting for the community, and I'll highlight. The town was featured in the edition of the Middlesex Chamber of Commerce's Economic Development newsletter. It actually came out either yesterday or today. And so that's out for the community to see. It is shared via their website. It's shared with the community via the Facebook page. I think the Economic Development Commission here in East Hampton has reposted that on its page. And when I get a chance, I'll grab that and put it out on the town's Facebook page. And perhaps Kathy and I will get it just linked through the town's website. But it's an interesting little snippet about some of the things that are going on in East Hampton economic development wise, a little bit of information about Juliet Hodge, our new planner. And then there's some interesting comments from an economic development professional about sort of the community and about economic development in general in the region. So an interesting piece. I'll also mention that the library, as you saw in the report, is the recipient of a small grant to do a little pollinator garden. So they'll be working on that this upcoming season out in the front part of the library community center property between basically the senior center portion and Main Street, so that it is in a good sunny spot. And it's hoped that the residents that helped us get that grant and the garden clubs and the variety of other organizations in town will participate in not only installing that, but helping to maintain that as well. So we're looking forward to that. The last thing I'll mention that's in the report is that the WPCA has its annual budget under review. As well, a revision to the connection fees that the council talked about is also under review, and they'll talk about both of those and accept public comment on those items at their meeting on March 4th at the wastewater plant out on Gildersleeve Drive. All are welcome to share their comments. The last thing I'll mention is not in the report, and I just wanted to update the community on the Airline Trail Gap project. It's, as many will recall, some time ago, the town was the recipient of congressionally directed spending in the amount of $1.4 million to support that project. And additionally, we received a grant about a year ago from the state of Connecticut to help us with the local share of that project, as well some other items related to design and other work on the airline trail in the amount of about $400,000. Leaving the town with between $100,000 and $200,000 that it would have to pay on that $2 million project. The Recreation Director, Sean Mullen, has been continuing to pursue that and move that along as best he can. He had a meeting with all of the state agencies last week. That includes the Department of Transportation, Energy and Environment, DEEP, as well as other entities of the state, not the least of which is the Army Corps of Engineers. As they all were looking at and reviewing the project, that project among others, to determine what were the next steps, including what were the next permits that needed to be drawn and what are the next activities that need to be undertaken as we move ever so slowly toward constructing that project. The town of East Hampton will, as you'll recall, be the overseer of that project. Ultimately, we will be the ones that design the project. We will be the ones that let the bids for the project and handle all the money transactions, oversee the construction, et cetera. But because it is on property owned by the state of Connecticut and overseen by the Department of Transportation, we have to work through them. And because there is a small creek and wetlands that runs through the area, the Army Corps of Engineers is really, for all intents and purposes, driving the bus. Ultimately, it becomes a boardwalk so that we can go over the top of those water bodies. And hopefully it gets constructed. Optimistically, it gets constructed at the later part of this construction season. We've been burned on that a few times already, so hopefully by 26, we're walking across that sometime. That's the last thing I have that I wanted to highlight or comment on, but I'm certainly, as you know, always willing to take questions.
Mr. Cox, I thought I read this in your report. Of course, I couldn't find it today. Our sidewalks down the village center.
Yeah.
When is that early April thoughts?
Yeah, the sidewalk project in the village center is scheduled to go early April. So we've decided to do a public information meeting on that here in this building on the 20th of March, 2 of them, one in the morning and one in the evening, to try and accommodate residents and businesses in the village center. We'll be getting a notice directly to them here in the next couple of days. But that's exciting. We'll be able to get that project going. As the council will recall, we had a bad bidding scenario there and had rejected a contract, got a better bid the next time around. So that's good news. I'm glad you brought that up. I didn't put it in my project, but the other one, or maybe I did. The other one that's coming up is the village, or yeah, I did, the Sears Park athletic courts. That's also coming up, starting again, more or less as the weather breaks. That's another project that one happens to be funded by American Rescue Plan funds, and that'll go ahead. Got very favorable bids there. That'll be going ahead, and we'll be able to install replacement tennis courts, a new basketball court, and a dedicated pickleball court as well. So that'll be a great facility when that's all done as well. So that hopefully gets started very soon. The Public Works Director indicated to me that he's got meetings set up with all those contractors here in this week to begin to get them in a row. So thank you for mentioning that.
Questions, Jeff?
I mentioned the day of service for the April 19th, and
Yes.
there's another one that Rhodey is having in May. And if the town wanted to identify things that people, volunteers could help with, that'd be great to
Okay.
recommend what we should be doing.
We'll look
What
into
should
that.
be helping with.
Sure. That'd be great. Anything else?
Comments, questions?
I'll just mention that thing, please thank Matt Walsh for putting that together. That was great, the analysis you did on all
On the
the.
salt? You're welcome.
Yeah,
I will let him know.
thank you.
Very good.
All
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Moving on, agenda item 12, appointments. Mr. Noddick,
Mr. Chairman, yes, I'd like to make a few nominations or two nominations
certainly.
this evening to staff full positions on the Conservation and Lake Commission. I'd like to move up two people who are currently alternates, but there are openings now as full members on Conservation and Lake. And that being said, I'd like to nominate John Purple to the unexpired term ending June 30, 2028, and Bob Hart to the unexpired term of June 30, 2026.
Second.
I
Oh,
so
sorry.
move.
Motion made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Any question regarding the post?
I'd like to just say that those are great contributors already to the Lake Commission. Great addition.
Thank you.
All set. Those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Two nominees are moved up to full-time
Thank you,
positions.
thank you.
Is that it?
That's it.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion for tax refunds.
How did I know you'd want to do that, Mr. Eagle?
For 10 refunds totaling $17,494.85 to the rightful owners.
I'll second that.
Motion made and seconded. I would just point out that in your original package, the
Yeah, I put that on the way.
so it's a change from the original package. 4,000, 2,008, 64.59. No further discussion. Those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Funds shall be returned. Agenda item 14, public remarks. Is there anyone who wishes to make public remarks at this time? Hearing none.
Oh, I have one online.
Hello, how are you this evening? My name is Beth Angel, and I'm just calling, speaking up to thank you for putting the letter from the East Hampton Senior Center regarding the congregate lunch provider. Our seniors advocated for themselves, and I just want to thank you for recognizing that. And also I want to recognize the advocates in the senior resources who helped get us the continuation of the congregate meals provider, Futures Inc., that is doing a great job. All think so. And also to recognize the advocacy of Senior Director Holly Marrero. And I hope in the future we get the support and advocacy of the town council on what the seniors need in this town, a growing population and a growing constituency. And I just want to thank you for putting it on the agenda. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other hands raised? Is there anyone, one last time, anyone who's to speak? If not, move on. Agenda item 15, communications, correspondence, and announcements. I believe you have a copy of the letter from East Hampton Senior Center regarding congregate lunch provider. There's nothing else. Move to agenda item 16, executive session. The council is going to be going into executive session. I'm inviting the town manager and the town's general counsel into that meeting. And thank you all for attending. Sorry it took so long.
We should do a motion to go into executive session.
A motion that we go into executive session for the potential assessment fixing agreement, and I invite the town manager and our town attorney.
Second.
Those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Executive session.